Hello everyone, and welcome back to Doodling Through Education. It is already week 10 for my CC students, and I feel like this year is going by really fast. Really, every year goes by fast, but it just feels like this year is taking the award in that. So maybe that's just me. But anyways, this week and in this episode, we are going to be talking about space, and specifically we're going to be talking about our solar system and each planet in our solar system. So how many planets are in our solar system, you ask? Well, I'll let you hold on to that question, and as we go through them, we will talk about each one. We will talk about questions like how big is each planet, how far away from the sun it is, how does this affect what it would be like on each planet, and then at the end we will count them all up and answer that question, how many planets are in our solar system. Some of you probably already know, but don't spoil the surprise. Think about that as we talk about these planets. So let's get started. The first planet on our journey out from the sun is Mercury. Mercury is a tiny, cute little planet. Aww. Okay, Mercury doesn't really have a cute little face, but it is still the smallest planet in the solar system. And in fact, it is only about the size of our moon. It's also important to note that it is the fastest planet because of how close it is to the sun. The closer a planet is to the sun, the faster it travels around it. Mercury's year is only 88 days. So, if it was possible to live on Mercury, you would celebrate a birthday every 88 days. That's a lot of birthday cake. Another fact that is pretty cool about Mercury is that if you were to stand on it, the sun would look 3 times bigger than it does here on Earth. Moving along, the next planet going out from the sun is Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun and is often called Earth's twin because it is similar in size. Unfortunately, though, life on Venus would not be possible. It would be impossible because of how hot it is. That's why it takes the award for the hottest planet in the solar system, with temperatures around 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Although Mercury is closer to the sun, Venus has a very thick and dense atmosphere which acts like a blanket holding all of the heat in. Venus is permanently shrouded in these thick, toxic clouds of sulfuric acid that start at an altitude of 28 to 43 miles. The clouds would smell like rotten eggs if you were on this planet. Venus actually rotates on its axis very, very slowly, and one day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days. You would have to stay up a very long time and wouldn't get much sleep, would you? 1 year on Venus lasts 225 Earth days. So actually, 1 day on Venus is longer than 1 year. Another interesting fact about Venus is it rotates backward on its axis compared to most planets in our solar system. This means the sun actually rises in the west and sets in the east. This is opposite of what we see on Earth, with the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. Next in our lineup is Earth. That's where we live. Home sweet home. As you know, a day on Earth is 24 hours and a year is about 365 days. Earth has our one moon and no rings, but we do have a protective atmosphere. Our atmosphere protects us from incoming meteoroids, most of which break up in our atmosphere before they can strike the surface. This atmosphere is made up of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% is a mix of many other ingredients. This is the perfect combination for life. Earth is a rocky planet with a solid surface of mountains, canyons, plains, and more. Most of our planet is covered in water. So, where do you live? Do you live near the mountains? Do you live near a canyon or out on the plains? Or perhaps maybe you live near a beach, near water. Well, God made Earth to be special with all of the different things and different regions on it and put it in the right place in respect to the sun so that life can live on it. Next up is Mars, the fourth planet. One day on Mars takes a little over 24 hours. Mars makes a complete orbit around the sun in 687 Earth days. Mars is also a rocky planet. Its solid surface has been altered by volcanoes, impacts, winds, movement from the crust, and chemical reactions. Another interesting fact is that Mars actually has 2 moons. At this time, life cannot be supported on this planet due to the very thin atmosphere and temperatures. But many missions are taking place to study this red planet for future possibilities. Lastly, you may be wondering, why is Mars red? Well, I have the answer to that question. Mars is red due to the soil containing a lot of iron in it. When this iron rusts, it gives the soil that red color we think of when we think of Mars. Let's keep moving out from the sun. The 5th planet is called Jupiter. Jupiter takes the crown in the largest planet category. 11 Earths could fit across Jupiter's equator. If Earth was the size of a grape, Jupiter would be the size of a basketball. Jupiter rotates once about every 10 hours, but takes about 12 Earth years to complete one orbit of the Sun. Jupiter is what is called a gas giant, and so it lacks an Earth-like surface. Many scientists have hypothesized that it may have a solid inner core, but if it did, it would likely only be the size of Earth. Jupiter has more than 75 moons, and on some of the moons, it is thought there are giant oceans under the crust of them. Lastly, Jupiter has a large red dot on the surface referred to as the Great Red Spot. This is a gigantic storm that's about twice the size of Earth and has raged for over a century. Remember, a century is 100 years. The next planet on our journey through the solar system is Saturn. Saturn is also a gas giant like Jupiter and therefore does not have a solid surface like Earth's. But again, scientists have hypothesized it may have a much smaller solid core somewhere in there. Saturn takes about 10.7 hours to rotate on its axis once and 29 Earth years to orbit the Sun. So you would only have a birthday once every 29 years. That, on the other hand, is not a lot of cake. Saturn has the most spectacular spectacular ring system with 7 rings and several gaps and divisions between them. Saturn has 53 known moons, with an additional 29 moons awaiting confirmation of their discovery. That is a total of 82 moons. And so it is often said that it has its own tiny solar system. Next in the lineup of planets that orbit our sun is Uranus. And Uranus is the 7th planet from the sun at a distance of about 1.8 billion miles. It is what is known as an ice giant, which is made up of mostly water, methane, and ammonia. Uranus has 27 known moons, and they are named after characters from the works of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. Uranus takes about 17 hours to rotate once and about 84 Earth years to complete an orbit of the Sun. Like Venus, Uranus rotates east to west, but something that makes it unique is that it rotates on its side. And that brings us to our last planet in our solar system. So, if you are counting along with me, that makes 8 planets. It is also an ice giant like its neighbor Uranus. Neptune takes about 16 hours to rotate once and about 165 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Because of the dwarf planet Pluto's elliptical orbit, Pluto is sometimes closer to the Sun and us than Neptune is. But Neptune is still thought of as the 8th planet. Voyager 2 is the only spacecraft to have visited Neptune. No spacecraft has orbited this distant planet to study it at length and up close. Neptune has 14 known moons, which are named after sea gods and nymphs in Greek mythology. And Neptune is about 4 times wider than Earth. If Earth were a large apple, Neptune would be the size of a basketball. I wanted to give you a quick way to remember the order of these planets, and it's a fun little acronym. So our planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. And you take the first letter in every planet and you can make an acronym that says, "My very excited mother just served us nachos." So hopefully that will help you learn the order in the future. Another thing I wanted to mention before we go is a great interactive resource to learn even more about our solar system, and that can be found at solarsystem.nasa.gov/planets. And I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description of this video so you can check that out. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Doodling Through Education. It truly means the world to me that you are spending the time listening to these videos, furthering your education about history and science. I hope you enjoy your week learning all about our solar system and our neighboring planets. So get out there, look up at the stars, and explore God's creation. And with that, be kind, follow God's will, and take care. Bye.